Warm welcome to the first Convergent Conference on Subsea Cable and Digital Cloud Infrastructure in India, brought to you by Broadband India Forum. I'm your host. My name is Anisha Nair Thavan. We are delighted to welcome our esteemed dignitaries for the inaugural session. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a round of applause and welcome on stage our esteemed dignitaries. Please welcome our chief guest, Shri A.K. Lahoti, Chairman, Telecom Regulatory Authority of India, TRAI. Please give him a huge round of applause. Please welcome on stage Shri R.N. Palai, Member, Technology DOT. Please welcome Mr. Nico Roerich, Director, Network Investment, APAC Meta Platforms, Inc., USA. Please welcome Mr. Ashutosh Jutsi, Senior Vice President, Submarine Network Solutions, NEC. Please welcome Mr. Amarjeet Gupta, Group CEO and MD, Lightstorm. Please welcome Mr. Ajay Chitkara, Managing Director, Indo-Pacific Global Infrastructure, Google. Please welcome Ms. Alka S. Asthana, Global Regulatory Head Regulatory, TCL and Chair, Subsea Cable Committee, Broadband India Forum. And please welcome on stage Mr. T.V. Ramachandran, President, Broadband India Forum, BIF. I request all of you to please give a huge round of applause to all our speakers on stage. I would request Mr. T.V. Ramachandran, President BIF, to please honor Chairman TRI, Mr. Lahoti, with the bouquet and welcome him to the conference. Thank you, sir. I request Brigadier Anil Tandon, Director General, Broadband India Forum, BIF, to please come up on stage and present a bouquet to Shri R.N. Palai, Member Technology DOT, with a bouquet of flowers. Thank you. Now, during the recent Cloudflare outage, everyone was saying, the cloud is down. And the subsea cables were like, we're literally underwater. We've never even seen a cloud. Subsea cables carry over 90% of global data traffic, and cloud infrastructure is critical to serving customers and enterprises worldwide. No wonder these are critical infrastructure for nations. How do subsea cable systems and digital cloud infrastructure drive India's digital economy? Do they matter for India's growth and competitiveness? Is subsea cable infrastructure a national strategic priority or a business-driven requirement? Is India's existing optical fiber network adequate to meet the requirements of inter-data center connectivity, particularly for hyperscale data centers? The first Convergent Conference on Subsea Cable and Digital Cloud Infrastructure in India brings together key policymakers and industry leaders to examine how subsea cables, cable landing stations, and cloud infrastructure can further strengthen India's internet backbone and position India as a global data transit hub. During the day today, we will touch upon all aspects of subsea cable and cloud infrastructure, the latest trends across the world, and the imperatives for the industry. To kickstart the proceedings, I will request Ms. Alka Asthana, Global Head Regulatory, TCL, and Chair Subsea Cable Committee, BIF, to give the welcome address. She's a technology leader with 30 years of experience in telecommunications across network and IT, and at Tata Communications, she's responsible for regulatory aspects, compliance, and advocacy. Please give her a huge round of applause.
Good morning, everybody. And thanks for the introduction. I wanted to cut it short, and that's why I was hovering over her. So, thanks, BIF, for organizing this, and a very, very warm welcome to all of you, especially Chair TRAI Lahoti sir and Member sir Palai sir. All of my colleagues and friends from the industry, a very, very warm welcome. This past week, India has seen the AI summit, and we had a lot of excitement, engagement, a bit of a chaos, and the realization that AI is here to stay, but also the realization that natural intelligence is far more important, and let's have the human intelligence in every nook and corner where AI gets in. But that also gave us a lot of relevance to this theme of today, which is about the subsea cable and data centers. AI has driven multifold the requirement for data, multifold the requirement of data's transmission with least of latency, least of disruption, least of distortion. And what better than submarine cable infrastructure and the network to make it happen? It cannot be replaced by other means of transport, if I may say so. And it does get into the baseline of what we do in the years to come, in the centuries to come. So this event today, this kind of space that has been created in your minds, in your timeshare, for deliberating on all the aspects of submarine cable network and associated infrastructure is so very timely, so very topical. So I urge each one of you to give your comments, give your thoughts, give your inputs, make it very, very interactive. We have to hear from the luminaries of the industry to understand what's the next few steps. We want, from the industry side, we definitely want it to be a very smooth, a very capable set of regulations, capable set of financial strength, and from India going forward to the world, serving these strong technical and administrative capabilities that we have. So over to this, the overall common intellect present in this room. And I look forward to an excellent, excellent deliberation over the day. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. I would like to introduce Mr. Ajay Chitkara, Managing Director, Indo-Pacific Global Infrastructure, Google. He brings over 2 decades of expertise in telecommunications, digital infrastructure, and logistics, having previously been the CEO and MD of Ecom Express. I request Mr. Ajay Chitkara to please address the audience. Please give a round of applause and welcome Mr. Ajay Chitkara.
Yeah, can you hear me? Yes. Morning, everyone. Thank you very much for inviting me, and honor to be here with all of you today. Last few days were quite hectic. We all saw AI Summit. It was one of a big summit, at least I have seen in my life, happening in India, and it was a proud moment for all of us. It was a bit exhausting also. We all heard about AI. So when I was coming here today morning, I thought what to speak, because I've not been on stage for long. And someone who put my picture, that was my childhood picture. My mother-in-law will be happy because she gave me that suit that time. I never wore that. So I asked ChatGPT to create a speech for me. I realized that's too generic, so I left it. Then I went to Gemini and I tried that same thing again. It was very sharp, very intelligent, but it looked like a consulting pitch. So I thought, let me scrap that also. I thought I'll use what you just said, the human intelligence, and I'll share what I learned in last 20, 25 years in telecom. Look, in last 6 months back, I joined Google. Prior to that, I was in telecom. I spent a lot of time in this field. Uh, in last few months, there were three distinct feelings which I had, and I wanted to share that. The first was feeling of wow. AI has arrived. AI is real. It is impacting countries, industries, ecosystem in a way and with a speed we never thought of. Genuinely a wow feeling that this kind of a revolution most of us have not seen in our life, which we are going to witness now. So there was a feeling of wow. Then there was another feeling, which was a feeling of pride. Pride when you see India hosting such event, 100 countries coming into the country, every biggest leader landing in country. I don't think they were coming here to sell something. They were coming here because they know they can build in India. So there is a feeling of pride that India is growing and India has a seat on the table of AI. So that's what the pride feeling. Another pride feeling, being a Googler, who is just 6-month Googler, I have seen this moving very, very fast. We are investing in India around $15 billion, building a largest data center of 1 gigawatt, which is the largest outside US, which we are building here. Not only that, we announced last week we'll be putting 4 submarine cables exiting from India on a different path, which is America-India Connect, which will go from India and connect to US. So large investments which are going and going very fast. That was a nice feeling. There was a third feeling. And the third feeling was uncomfortable excitement. Why I'm calling it uncomfortable excitement? There is excitement. And rightly so, the excitement is real. Why I'm calling it uncomfortable excitement? In India, 1 gigawatt capacity got created for data centers in last 25 years. Now we need to build that in next 3 years. And this room need to build. This whole wow need to now be converted into work. And I think it's possible. And the people here, if we all will come together, put in efforts in the right direction, I think it is possible. There is a willingness, there is a support from government, there is a commitment from many more industry people. I think this is possible. There was another subtle feeling. It's like wedding to marriage. In wedding, people came, speeches were given, pictures were taken, a lot of excitement was there. Now it's marriage, wherein we need to put our head down, show our commitment, make sure at least we do the right things every single day so that we are successful. So that was my third feeling, which was uncomfortable excitement. I think if we need to build with speed and scale, there are 3 thoughts in my head which I just wanted to leave with all of you. The first one is around the policies. In India, the way we all operated and built the networks, we have all seen the revolution happening in the country in many ways, internet, cloud, telecom. And most of us have witnessed firsthand this revolution happening in the country. But those policies need to modify now. Because whether we need to land the cable, or we need to repair a cable, or we need to get a ROW, or we need to get an environment clearance for data center, or for power. If it used to take longer time before, now we need to find out how can we squeeze this time. Because we all have just 3 years. Within 3 years, if we need to build what we all built in last 25 years, I think there is a bit of shift which is needed. And that shift will help us achieve the goal which we all have in our mind. There is a second request which I wanted to leave, which is around the whole licensing ecosystem, the authorization draft paper which is already out. There are all inputs which has been given by all the people. Look, we are not trying to sell anything. We are trying to build the national infrastructure for AI. For that, if we can move from regulation to authorization model, and I think that's a welcome move. The paper has already been drafted. We all have given our inputs. If that execution can happen fast, that's the only request which I wanted to leave to the room. And the third is collaboration of people in this room. The network which we need to build, just to give you a context, when we talk about 1 gigawatt of capacity, which means around 8,000 water-cooled racks, that's the way, around 7 lakh to 8 lakh GPUs sitting into it. It's not just power which is needed, but the infrastructure and network which is needed for that is petabytes of capacity which need to flow. Thousands of fiber pair, multiple cables which need to be landed, and all need to happen in just 2 to 3 years' time. If we need to do that, those networks does not exist in this country. It does not. It can't be that old wine need to be given in a new bottle. We all need to build and create those networks in this country to be successful. And I would just leave this message to the room, because all of us, if we put our head down, work together, jointly collaborate and partner, and build these networks for future, I think we have everything in this country. We have talent, we have demand, we have now power, we are building network. If we do and execute the way we all execute when we get aligned and move in one particular direction, we will not just participate in AI, we will drive AI. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I'm sure we have a huge audience here, and there will be a lot of collaborative effort that will come through. By the end of the day, we will make this AI infrastructure dream possible. I would now like to introduce to you Mr. Amarjeet Gupta, Group CEO and MD, Lightstorm. Lightstorm is a leading provider of cloud connectivity services, building and operating high-capacity fiber networks to deliver industry-leading network solutions. Before Lightstorm, Mr. Gupta led Juniper Networks and held key roles at Microsoft, Alcatel-Lucent, Motorola, and Tata Group. I request Mr. Amarjeet Gupta to please address the audience. Please give a round of applause and welcome Mr. Gupta.
Good morning. It feels good to be here. This is the right. Good to be here on just about a year back. I was on the same podium for the first time. And firstly, I think TV, congratulations for getting BIF to be the subsea event of the year, which everybody doesn't want to miss. Congratulations. Between then and now, Ajay spoke about it. Something happened. And the elephant is in the room, which is AI. Last week just amplified it. But frankly, there's been nothing more life-changing than the technologies that AI has provided. As somebody who's been in the frontal stage, launching the first mobile in India, then going through the internet in 2000, and then being a part of the cloud in the early 2020, I can tell you from personal experience, this is a change of a lifetime. So I'm going to spend the next few minutes just talking about what it means to a domain which we know. At Lightstorm, we take networks passionately to our heart, both subsea and terrestrial. We operate today a subsea network in the Pacific. We are a born in India company. We run a data center interconnect network in India, and most, if not all, of hyperscaler traffic uses our network, including many Indian enterprises and the new neoscalers. That said, I think I just want to talk about the evolution. I'm an old man, so you can see the evolution, something really close to my heart. The internet era was about getting best effort right. Remember the days, sir, when we launched internet with VSNL back in the day in 2000? It was about trying to get the packets across. It's about just somehow getting to connect, first universities and then enterprises. It was never about being quality of service. It's about getting connected. The cloud changed it. The cloud changed it from best effort to quality of service. So people started talking about reliability, about latency, about availability. And that really was the feature of cloud. And the effort, in a very simplistic term, I was part of the cloud launch in Microsoft back in the day when cloud was in its infancy, was how do you match the utility-grade availability of cloud to networks which were telecom, which was never anywhere near utility. That was the effort. We thought we'd almost try to solve it globally, step by step by step. I agree with Ajay when he says that most networks, particularly in these parts of the world, are not even cloud ready, or just about. But the perfect storm was just to arrive. So if you look at the picture of what arrived is the AI era. And this era is not about infrastructure. I'll just leave you with the thought that this era is about connecting intelligent workloads. And that takes more than fiber, that takes more than just the network, it takes more than software to make it work all together. The picture over here just gives you a very simplistic picture of how traffic has evolved. Traffic in the internet was bursty, spiky, that's okay. It was multi-directional. But when you look at AI workloads, it's like a spurt of bursts. And essentially this means, for designers who have a little bit of penchant for technical design, would essentially mean the law of averaging, which search we have been designed ever since our voice networks, best back in the PSTN days to data, the law of averaging doesn't hold. You know, people in the room, many of whom have seen the Erlang days, would know that it's an averaging principle. The averaging principle just doesn't hold in networks that are AI today, which means you got to build for burst and unpredictability in almost an infinite way to be able to deal with the big data centers that Google and Amazon and Meta will build across the country. And the challenge in this room, in the context of India and our nation, is what I like what Nandan Nilekani says, is to be able to disperse it, disseminate it, and get AI workloads available as use cases for corporates, SMEs, and users. That really is the challenge of this traffic dissemination. Peel the onion inside AI. They'll tell you there are two different animals inside. One's called the training workload, which is huge bursts going up to a central cluster, which requires megapipes to upload and download, almost infinite capacity. Whereas if you think of inferencing, which is where you and I use ChatGPT like Ajay was referring to, you're talking to local nodes. That traffic nature is completely different. Most importantly, all these are synchronous. And the difference between a synchronous and an asynchronous network is the sender and receiver, back in the asynchronous days, had no time sensitivity. You could send a packet across, hopefully it reaches, maybe in 10 milliseconds, maybe in 15 milliseconds, it still works. In the AI era, if there is one asynchronous packet loss, you'll probably set 10,000 GPUs sitting idle, and at today's cost and time, thanks to NVIDIA, it costs about $50 an hour. That's the cost we pay for deploying AI and the role that networks can play to be able to diffuse AI in an economic sense which makes sense to this country. So essentially, I don't want to take too much time, we have the population. I was so gratified hearing Sam Altman say 100 million users is one of the highest users base outside India that ChatGPT has. Anthropic has similar figures. They're very enterprise focused. They're focusing on our big ITS houses. So the partnership with TCS and Infosys says something to speak about it. So we have the population, the training scale, and the usage. We have data sets. And really, in this country, we get small things wrong, but we get big things right. DPI is a great example of building to scale, of payment infrastructure, of identity, of KYC, which is world-class. That's there. And then, of course, with investments like the ones you heard from Google, Meta, Amazon, and others, we're going to build out data center capacity. Hopefully, the power and the cooling stacks up. That isn't going to be easy. But I think the thing to think about, and I really endorse what Ajay is saying, adjusted to quality. The scale of fiber and networks, good quality networks in this country, on a purchase power parity basis, on an adjusted parity basis, is extremely low. The quality of fiber infrastructure, the quality of network infrastructure, attention to detail with the aspects that I talked of, and the ability to build software to be able to disseminate these large language models is really going to be the challenge this country is confronted with. And I do want to point out another fact. The large language models take all the attention. This country is going to thrive on a combination of large language and small language models, including local language models, and the adoption in enterprises and SMEs, which will require these language models to be disseminated. And the only way you can diffuse and distribute that is through great networks. Our banks, our financial institutions, manufacturing companies would actually bring these LLMs to life, because otherwise these are dead on arrival monetization models. Having said that, I think while there's a lot of attention around building these large coolant refrigerators, the beauty about these data centers is you to cool them, power them, but you also got to connect them. And that really is the challenge that this country faces. With enough, I personally think, sir, from the policy level in the government, we are a born in India company, we have businesses across 7 countries. I can tell you, as somebody who's built a company from scratch, the policies in this country are really progressive. Thank you for opening up this policies like the way we are. The data center tax holiday is a very welcome relief. The right-of-way interventions are working. Yes, of course, there are problems, there will be in subsea, but relatively speaking, I can say with pride, standing here as somebody who's built his career in India, we perhaps have one of the most progressive policies across this region. I mean, people don't tell you about the difficulties of landing a subsea cable in Singapore. Some of my friends can tell you that, which is supposed to be a very progressive, liberal policy framework. So thank you for that. We really look forward to your support to this, as well as unleashing the power of creativity and entrepreneurial imagination to be able to rake open this opportunity. Finally, I'll just leave with one thought. In my job, it takes me across Southeast Asia and gradually to Middle East, where I see sovereigns very deeply involved in network and data center than any time earlier in the past. I think we are uniquely poised, geographically and politically, to be able to create India as a center of hub. Look at this simple picture. Anywhere within India, you could potentially connect within 20 milliseconds, which is a big deal for about 2 billion out of the 8 billion population. If you really do the job well, perhaps build a corridor to Middle East, build some solid corridors to Southeast Asia. Google is building some of them. We can actually reach more than 2 billion people and become the center and fulcrum of attention for these AI training and learning models. And that really is the policy level visibility that I would like to bring to attention to facilitate this growth. AI on its own within the country is great, but AI as an exporter of intelligence from India is another dimension. And I'll leave you with this thought and again thank BIF for taking the lead in opening up these subjects for deliberation, and wish you well, TV. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Amarjeet Gupta, for your address. I would now like to introduce Mr. Ashutosh Ruchi. He's Senior Vice President, Submarine Network Solutions, NEC. He's a telecom professional with over 30 years of experience in system engineering, business development, project implementation, and sales. He currently leads the submarine cable networks business for NEC in India. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a round of applause and welcome Mr. Zuchi. I request him to please address the audience.
Yeah, our esteemed chief guest for the event, Chairman TRI, Mr. Laudiji, Member Technology, Mr. Palaiji, Mr. TVR from Broadband India Forum, my other fellow distinguished speakers, stalwarts from the industry sitting in front of me. Tandon Saab is no longer there, Mr. Umangji, Mr. Guptaji, and distinguished members from the industry in this room. Very good morning to all of you, and first of all, I would like to thank Broadband India for conducting this conference, which is coming at a very appropriate time immediately after the concluding of the recently conducted AI Summit in India. Before I start giving anything that I have to share with you today, let me start with an acknowledgement of fact. The acknowledgement of fact is that whatever I know about submarine cable business and submarine cable industry today is courtesy Department of Telecom, courtesy BSNL. That's because me, my organization, some of the team members sitting right over there on the table, if I may ask them to get up for implementing, please get up, for implementing the two prestigious projects for Government of India for connecting the islands on Andaman and Nicobar and Lakshadweep on both East Coast as well as West Coast. Two first domestic subsea cables implemented by Government of India for our country. We feel proud about that. So whatever I'm going to share today is basis the knowledge, please, basis the knowledge and information I gathered over last several years of having been involved in submarine cable business, much of it for the two projects that we implemented for Government of India. If I have to draw a timeline, then I can say that 2020 was a pivotal year in the submarine cable business or the infrastructure. That's because before 2020, if we look at it, a submarine cable system would get connected to India every 4 or 5 years. There used to be one system coming maybe on an average around 4 to 5 years. But what we have seen over the last 6, 7 years is that from 2020 till now, 7 cable systems have been constructed, 4 of which are already operational, 3 of them are going to be operational this year, which means 1 cable system almost every year, unprecedented, including the 2 domestic cable systems that I mentioned. This is one important development. The second important development that I should want to point out is that each one of these cable systems, except the domestic ones, are designed with a capacity that's capable of carrying data almost more than several cable systems built before that put together. That's the kind of capacity the submarine cable systems recently deployed and going forward are going to support. Another important development is that so far we have been seeing that in India, most of the cables are coming to either Mumbai or Chennai, majority of them in Mumbai. But very soon that's going to change. We are going to see 2 new landing sites on the East Coast. There was only 1. 2 new landing sites coming on the East Coast very soon, which is Machilipatnam and Digha. And we are going to see 1 more, announced already by Google, in Visakhapatnam. So we are going to see multiple cable landing locations on the East Coast, which was much overdue. On the West Coast, we do have 3 or 4 landing stations, but still majority of the cables are coming into Mumbai. That should also change because Mumbai is becoming overcrowded. There are reasons for cables landing into Mumbai and more cables being planned into Mumbai. There are commercial reasons for that, but diversification is something that's very important because what we are seeing today or recently is that the cable systems in Mumbai are not quite safe in terms of the amount of disruption due to the damages that these cable systems encounter. Last 2.5 years, more than a dozen cable damages have occurred in Mumbai. So for that reason alone, if not bringing in the diversification in the ecosystem, other locations need to be brought up. Now, if I look at the ecosystem, then in order for us, as Mr. Chitkara mentioned, as Amajit also pointed out, there's a lot that needs to be done in terms of the regulatory framework that exists around the deployment of submarine cable systems, and that's something I'm talking about from my own experience of implementing 3 cable systems in India. Not that progress is not there, there is progress, but considering the amount of investment that's being committed in data center build, and naturally which will be followed by the submarine cable investments also, there's a lot that needs to be done in terms of enabling the implementation of those committed projects and have them come in faster. So that's one area. The other area which I already spoke about is trying to figure out how to make the cable systems more secure. So in that sense, as I mentioned, from the point of view of location, deployment, ironically, East Coast is much more friendly as compared to the West Coast, whereas majority of the cables are coming to the West Coast because of the seabed features. East Coast is better in that sense. Nevertheless, we need to have some regulation in place which prevents avoidable damage in terms of identifying corridors which are free from heavy fishing or anchoring is not allowed. So those kind of arrangements will help, because these submarine cable ecosystem are going to be a lifeline for the country. It's already one. Other area that I would want to touch upon is, again, based on my own experience of implementing projects in the last several years, the ecosystem that exists in India so far, whether it is for deployment or for maintenance, is unfortunately next to non-existent. Other than the team I introduced today and few of my colleagues in the audience, not much competence unfortunately exists in India in terms of submarine cable deployment and maintenance. Forget about supplying the infrastructure, not at all existing. So that should change. We are working towards Atmanirbhar Bharat in virtually every domain, and this is one domain where almost nothing exists. So looking at future, if I see the kind of investments that are committed by various players, I can say that now is the time to invest if somebody wants to participate seriously in this domain. Because from last few years to maybe another decade, there are going to be huge number of cable systems coming into India. Lastly, what I would want to say is, apart from the 2 domestic systems that DOT has implemented for obvious reasons, there is no submarine cable system existing today as a dedicated infrastructure to carry domestic traffic, even though there are international cables connecting Mumbai and Chennai, and virtually there is a route available for carrying traffic from Mumbai to Chennai on those cable systems, which is currently not evolved because of the regulation. But other than that, there is nothing to show on the domestic front. And that's where I think there is a scope for deployment, simply because the amount of traffic these cable systems can carry, the reliability, even though I mentioned that the cable systems suffered a lot of damage around Mumbai, but the kind of reliability the cable systems offer is much, much better than the terrestrial fiber networks. So I think this is one area where industry should look into and try to invest. I have something more to share, which I will reserve for the next session, which I am participating in the technical portion, and I would welcome questions around that in the next session. So in the interest of time, let me conclude my statement. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Zucchi. It's our pleasure to introduce Mr. Nico Rorich, Director Network Investment APAC, Meta Platforms Inc. USA. He leads a team dedicated to developing the connectivity infrastructure necessary to deliver Meta's family of apps across the Asia-Pacific region. He plays a key role in Meta's subsea cable initiatives, including projects like Candle, Apricot, Bifrost, and Echo. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a round of applause to Mr. Nico Rorich. I request him to address the audience.
Wow, what an honor to be here. So much of what has been said already really resonates, and I want to pick up on a few themes. But before I do that, I'd like everybody just to turn to the person next to you. I'm not going to say left or right, because you guys got to figure it out. If everybody looks left, it's not going to work. Just look at the person next to you. And then look to the other side. Look at the other person. And take a minute to let it sink in that the people that you just looked at are critical to delivering on the promise of AI. This room literally is filled with the people who are going to make or break AI. And most people in your life probably have no idea what you do. Right? You talk to people about building networks, and they expect just to pick up their phone and have it work. Right? So what we do is largely invisible, but it's critical to enabling the AI future. And sort of picking up on, I think, where AJ ended, one of the things that has happened across the last few decades that I've been involved in the industry is we have become the bottleneck. So the data center teams can build a data center quickly. NVIDIA and TSMC can pump out chips. But if we look across the cables that we've deployed, we are getting slower. So when I started at Meta in 2012, 13, we built our first transatlantic cable. It took 24 months. To build that cable today takes 48 months. So the overall time it takes to deploy networks has become increasingly slow, and that's across the globe. So I think one of the things that we would like to walk away from today is how can each of us play a role in developing networks faster and reverse that trajectory of timelines that are continuing to increase. I want to go through a few little things that we're doing. And again, I think when I look at this room, I'm incredibly inspired by the innovation. We've partnered with, I think, almost everybody in the room on various projects. And the thing that I am always left with every time I come here is a sense of hope and inspiration, because the people who are in this room are innovating and delivering. And together, you know, we've built a lot of what you see on this slide. So this is just, you know, the Meta cables. The blue ones are in service. The dotted lines are things that are in progress. You know, I'm sure if you look at Google, they have a similar slide. You know, this is a network that is really, you know, what we've built over the last 10 years, and it is nowhere near enough, right? I think we've talked today about how each successive cable has significantly more capacity, but it is not enough to meet the demands of AI. In India, we have 3 cable systems that have landed, one of which is live. We've got 2 more as part of Project W that are in the works. We're peering with 263 ISPs. We've got 6 major points of presence, and we've got over 940 caches. So our network here that we've built over the last 10 years has been really deep. And again, very proud of the work that we've done collectively, and we need to double down and do more again. This is the latest cable that we're working on, again, with many of you guys. It's Project Waterworth. We announced it here last year. There are 4 cables, 5 continents, 50,000 kilometers. One of the key things that we're trying to address, and this sort of came up, I think, in Amarjit's thing, is like, you know, there are real improvements that are happening, but the theme that I see as I travel to different countries is we all think about our home country. And part of the design here, which I want to point out, and it was raised before about the number of faults we've experienced, right? And I think we had an unprecedented number of faults in the Red Sea this year, or last year, right? And again, your families probably have no idea how fragile the ecosystem is and how close we came to like a disaster when that happened. So one of the things that we're really focused on is increasing diversity, right? So the routing here that you'll see from, if you look from India, we're totally bypassing the Red Sea. Going west, we go through South Africa to the US East Coast, and going the other way, we go via Australia, completely bypassing the South China Sea. Again, a historically high-risk area for cables. So one of the fundamental philosophies that we have is more cables increase resilience, diversity, and overall enhance the security of the network. And what is it that has cables land in a country? So there's 2 factors that I generally see. One is the population, right? So there is a natural, and India has, you know, a massive population, very dynamic, amazing demographic. So it's an attractive place from that perspective. The other reason that cables land in countries is because it's easy, right? And this is a very nice analogy with airport transit hubs. If you want to be a transit hub, the reason airports become transit hubs is because it's easy. If you had to apply for a visa, wait 6 months for your visa to be approved, if you had to pay landing taxes, all those things create friction for air travel. And the joy of traveling through an airport hub is if you miss a flight, it's likely that there's another one very soon and you can get to where you need to go. And I think that's the aspiration that a lot of countries have in terms of becoming a connectivity hub, right? Like if you can attract cables way beyond what you need to serve your population, your economic security is massively increased because when things break, you've got alternatives. And I think that's, again, something that we collectively in this room have a large opportunity to act on. We can work together to make it easier to land cables here. We can make it faster. We can make that more resilient. And again, I think we look at this as a whole ecosystem, and one of the things I'm really inspired about is the innovation that I've seen from the people in this room in terms of that ecosystem end to end. So the backhaul, the investment that is happening in the terrestrial networks to take the subsea capacity to where it ultimately needs to go has been really, really inspiring. So I just want to leave you with a few thoughts. Faster is better, right? So whatever you do, look at opportunities for us to move faster together. Easier makes it faster. What are the things that we do where we get in our own way? What are the regulations that we can simplify collectively that don't compromise security and in fact increase security because we have more cables in the ecosystem, which makes everything safer? Thank you.
Thank you. It is a privilege to introduce our guest of honor, Shri R.N. Palai, Member Technology, DOTs, our special guest of honor. He's an officer of the Indian Telecom Service since 1989. He brings in more than 37 years of leadership across telecommunications, IT infrastructure, cybersecurity, public policy, and e-governance. He has led national network rollouts, shaped IT and telecom policies, and driven digital transformation while representing India and states in global industry forums. I would request Shri R.N. Palai to please give the guest of honor address. Please give a huge round of applause to Shri R.N. Palai.
Thank you. Our respected Chief Guest, Chairman TRI, Sri Anil Kumar Lahuti ji, Chairperson, the President Broadband India Forum, dignitaries and speakers on the dais, representative from the industry, and delegates, very good morning to all of you and namaskar. So I was part of the Submarine International Cable Resilience Conference concluded in first week of this month in Porto, that is Portugal, and where we have delegations of 350 people, more than 350 people. They're talking about the same thing, which has been echoed by our esteemed speakers, Ajay Chitkaji and Mr. Jutsiji, and from Meta, Mr. Nico. So there are very pertinent points which is concerning to the submarine cable ecosystem, and coupled with the data center, and particularly more so with the AI data centers. On return, I was in a mix. In fact, I was searching how to have a connect with the players in India. And what I think that is, for licensing perspective, this Department of Telecom is seeing the entire industry from the licensing perspective. That particularly, that perception has changed, in fact. And I was looking at in a different perspectives, because we have to, that government as a regulator, government as licensor must play an enabler role. And there, the role of the government plays. So, at this juncture, let me speak. Actually, as predecessors already mentioned, that most of the speeches are basically curated by the AI. And part of my speech is also curated by you, kindly pardon me. The theme of the conference is connecting continents, scaling the digital clouds. So this particular theme, I must thank the BIF to select this topic and have a deliberations, and which is quite relevant after the conclusion of that AI summit. And both are interrelated. And for that, this organizing the conference is having lot relevance. So we meet at a moment when the future of global digital order is being shaped not only in the boardrooms, but silently beneath the oceans. So for the nations like India, geographically positioned at a crossroads of major global routes, and is rapidly emerging as one of the largest digital economy. Submarine cables are not simple telecom assets. They are strategic enabler of growth, innovation, and national capability. India today hosts 18 international submarine cable systems and 23 cable landing systems. So we are having 18 submarine cables landed on Indian shores and at 23 cable landing stations. And domestically, we have also, India has also connected this Andaman Island, and also this Kochi Lakshadweep submarine cable systems. So in Andaman, we have 8 landing stations, and Kavati was, if you put together, total landing stations will cross 30. And new submarine cables, now 6 new submarine cables are in the pipeline. 8 new cable landing stations on the Indian shores. So this is what the growth, and possibly this is what we have received the particular request from the operators to enable it or for grant. And thereafter, we don't know this in the way these things are, that the data explosion is moving, and the demand for the new cables. So we don't know that in the near futures there may be a many demands as far as the cable landing station is concerned. And as far as, I think, it's already deliberated that western coasts are particularly predominantly they are concentrated at Mumbai, whereas the cable, landing possibilities are more in the eastern coast because of the criteria they have evaluated. So I do not have much of knowledge on that. But surely the eastern coast, excepting this Chennai, then other coasts, particularly we are looking for this Vizag or Machilipatnam per se in specific, and Puri, and also that Haldia. These are some of the probables that state governments are also facilitating. The impact of the connectivity is tangible when a student in Lakshadweep accesses global education resources, when a young entrepreneur in Port Blair serves international clients, and telemedicine reaches an island household in real time. It is submarine connectivity that greatly enables us. Connectivity today is not a luxury, but a bridge to the opportunity. At the same time, we are entering an era where the cloud computing and artificial intelligence are redefining the economic competitiveness. Hyperscale data centers now power government financial systems, manufacturing networks, research institutions, and digital platforms. AI models demand enormous computing capacity, seamless cross-border data flow, and ultra-low latency connectivity. What are the drivers for data centers? This, in India context, exploding data consumption, the mobile fast technology in India, hyperscaler entry, this is global cloud expansion, then cloud adoption growth, 5G rollout, Tier 2 data center expansion in India, and then sustainability push. These are the driving factors for the data centers, and particularly when AI data center we are talking about, it's a more capacity. The power consumption typically goes 4 to 5 fold. So today's India's capacity is around 500 megawatt, which will touch 5 gigawatt by 2030. Similarly, in the global scale, by 2030, the total power consumptions by the data center will be reaching somewhat around 180 gigawatt. So these are the massive explosion happening, and to connecting all this piece of these data centers, you require a massive connectivity, and that should be a low latency. And that is only possible by the fiber. And fiber means this will be cross-country or cross-continents. So that is where the opportunity lies. In an evolving geopolitical environment, undersea infrastructure may be viewed through a strategic lens. As my Meta friend, she has also mentioned that the cable laying earlier used to be less time, now it is taking more time because people our countries look in silo. They think that their territories are more important, and strategically, this is relevant also. And, uh, and when economics run on data, connectivity becomes critical national infrastructure. Such things do need attention. Resilience is no longer a technical consideration, it is strategic imperatives. And why strategic? Because by disruption of one of the assets, it can cripple the flow of data. And that can also cascading impact on all the services it is rendering. Recognizing this imperative, India has taken significant steps. There are also, the speaker's predecessor already mentioned about some of the pain points. ROW, right of way, getting clearances. When there is a cable fault, you need to have to knock at the doors of 11 to 12 agencies to get the clearances. So being the nodal, this Department of Telecom is coordinating this. So probably there needs to be some rationalizations and thought process to do so. Second important aspect is that the damage and the cause of damage. Most of the submarine or subsea cables are damaged because of this, the undersea activities, means anchoring and fishing. So 70% they contribute to that. Something can be done for that? What are the take on this Indian, of the government, what is the thinking? So let me deliberate that India has taken a significant steps under the Telecommunication Act. Submarine cables and submarine terminal equipments or cable landing stations have been declared as critical telecommunication infrastructure, affirming their strategic importance. Second, DOT is strengthening regulatory framework to promote route diversity and additional landing points across our coastline, considering allowing telecom service providers to establish domestic submarine cable communication systems connecting coastal cities. That means earlier the domestic submarine cables were not permitted, now it is being permitted. That facilitates a resilience and also a redundancy to the network. Further, DOT is also working towards streamlining the multi-agency approvals for cable deployment, repair through speedy clearances, where we are talking about the pain points. So this is, we are working on it. Probably we'll have the consultation, the base paper is ready, and we'll be needing particularly the comments from all the stakeholders to do so. And this is part of the call of the Government of India for ease of doing business, because in the digital economy, time itself is bandwidth. DOT has taken initiative to develop a single window clearance portal, what that involving 10 to 12 agencies. India is also actively engaged in international forums, including International Telecommunication Union, International Cable Protection Committee, as a member, contributing to the global efforts on submarine cable resilience. Resilience in the digital world must be cooperative, not a fragmented, that we believe. So now, coming to the last para, the strength of digital future will not be measured solely by the sophistication of the algorithms, but by the reliability and resilience of networks that binds humanity together. The arteries of digital age must remain strong, because upon them rests the stability, prosperity, and shared future of the interconnected world. Subsea infrastructure deserves attention of stakeholders, national government, and international body. I thank Broadband India Forum to organize this seminar and inviting me to share my thoughts. Thank you very much.
Big thank you to Member Technology Mr. Palai for the address. I would like to introduce our chief guest, um, Shri A.K. Lahoti, Chairman TRAI. After his distinguished 37-year career in Indian Railways, he is retired as Chairman and CEO of the Railway Board in August 2023. Post-retirement, he was appointed as a one-man expert committee on track inspection and maintenance and is a distinguished visiting professor at Gati Shakti Vishwavidyalaya. Under his leadership, TRAI has strengthened consumer protection and telecom quality enforcement. I would request our chief guest, Shri A.K. Lahoti, Chairman TRAI, to please address the audience. Please give a round of applause.
Good morning, everyone. Mr. Palai, Member Technology, Department of Telecommunication. Mr. T.V. Ramachandran, President BIF. Distinguished leaders from the industry who are sharing the dais with me, and also in the audience, ladies and gentlemen. Last year, BIF organized the International Subsea Cable Systems Conference. And I congratulate BIF that they have swiftly upgraded it to Convergent Conference on Subsea Cable and Digital Cloud Infrastructure. This singularly brings out the importance of these two critical infrastructure for a digital world and the AI era, or we may call it the intelligence era. The subsea cables and digital clouds are also now central to national digital resilience, economic competitiveness, and secure connectivity. It's my privilege to address this distinguished gathering at a time when the global economy is undergoing a profound digital transformation. The rapidly growing digitalization of India's economy, governance, and social fabric is evident from the fact that in the last 10 years, the broadband subscriber base in India has increased by more than 6 times. In this remarkable journey, India has surpassed the milestone of 1 billion broadband users in November 2025. The data consumption in India today stands at 20,000 petabytes for fixed wireline and fixed wireless, and at 26,000 petabytes for mobile broadband. The per-user mobile wireless data consumption is 27 GB, one of the highest in the world. The rise in data consumption, digitalization, and growth of artificial intelligence are accelerating the demand for global data center infrastructure and submarine cable systems. According to a report, globally there are more than 12,000 operational data centers. The global data center market was valued at $527 billion in 2025 and is projected to reach $739 billion by 2030, growing at a CAGR of about 7%. The global data center capacity reached 122 gigawatts of installed IT power capacity as of Q1 2025. As per the Indian Economic Survey 2026, India's data center capacity is projected to reach about 8 gigawatts by 2030 from 1.4 gigawatts as of Q2 of 2025. The subsea cables continue to carry around 95 to 99% of global intercontinental data traffic and remain the primary backbone of global internet. As per a market research, the global submarine communication cable industry is expected to reach 32.8 billion US dollars in 2026 and is projected to reach a value of 60.5 billion US dollars by 2036. The industry is expected to grow at 6.3% year on year during this period. India is projected to experience one of the fastest growth in the submarine cable market with a CAGR of 7.4%, driven by digital expansion, rising internet penetration, and the government's Digital India initiative, complemented by the India AI mission. TRAI has long recognized the critical role of submarine cable systems in strengthening India's digital infrastructure. In June 2023, TRAI released comprehensive recommendations on the licensing framework and regulatory mechanism for submarine cable landing in India. TRAI's recommendations aim to streamline licensing and regulatory processes and create an environment conducive to investment, innovation, and operational efficiency. The key measures included categorizing cable landing stations into main CLS and CLS point of presence to streamline permissions, allowing international long distance, that is ILD, and internet service providers, that is ISP category A licensees, to extend dark fiber from main CLS to CLS POPs, improving infrastructure readiness through coastal cable depots and incentives for Indian flagged repair vessels, permitting domestic submarine cables under national long distance license with safeguards for non-discriminatory access and traffic separation, designating CLS operations as essential services and critical information infrastructure, and simplifying regulatory processes through online clearance, tax exemptions, and waiver of right-of-way charges. Most of these recommendations have been accepted by the government and are at various stages of implementation. If I recall, in the first International Subsea Cable System Conference held in March 2025, the focus was on the need to improve and expand India's subsea cable systems. Since then, international connectivity has received a major impetus with new high-capacity subsea cable systems landing in India and progressing towards commercial readiness, thereby improving route diversity and long-haul bandwidth availability. As of end of 2025, India hosts 18 international subsea cables across 23 distinct landings. This infrastructure has been built through sustained investments by Indian operators and global partners, supported by a stable regulatory framework. As of December 2025, the total lit capacity and activated capacity of these cables stood at 309 TBPS and 268 TBPS respectively. Since last year, there has been a 60% increase in total lit capacity and 81% increase in total activated capacity. Recently, IAX, that is India-Asia Express submarine cables, have successfully landed at Mumbai and Chennai. Several next-generation submarine cable systems, such as IEX, that is India-Europe Express, and Blue Raman, are set to become fully operational. Another trend is massive investment from major tech firms, which are transitioning from customers of submarine systems to primary owners. We just heard companies like Google, Meta, and Amazon are leading a massive multi-billion-dollar expansion of submarine cable infrastructure, shifting from renting capacity to owning or co-investing in private high-capacity subsea networks to support AI development and cloud services. While subsea cables connect continents and cloud infrastructure, the cloud services and digital platforms, whether hosted in public clouds, private data centers, or hybrid environments, have become the backbone of modern digital life. The cloud allows for elastic innovation. It means a small team can scale its impact globally overnight. But with this power comes a new responsibility. We must ensure this scaling is sustainable, powered by green energy, and secure, protecting the data sovereignty. The scaling of digital cloud platforms is increasingly inseparable from the evolution of global telecom networks. As cloud growth now depends as much on connectivity as on compute capacity. Hyperscale elasticity is enabled through high-capacity fiber backbones, 5G networks, and edge data centers with minimal latency. In this converged model, scaling is no longer achieved by simply adding centralized servers, but by architecting workloads across distributed cloud regions, carrier-neutral data centers, and telecom edge nodes positioned deep within access networks. In November 2022, TRAI released detailed recommendations on a regulatory framework for promoting data economy through establishment of data centers, content delivery networks, and interconnect exchanges in India, aimed at accelerating the data economy, strengthening data sovereignty, reducing latency, and promoting infrastructure development through incentives and standards. The recent TRAI recommendations of February 2025 on the terms and conditions of network authorization under the Telecommunication Act 2023 mark a significant step for India's data center and submarine cable ecosystem. The recommendations introduce a cloud-hosted telecom network, that is CTN provider authorization, to facilitate network as a service model aligned with evolving cloud-driven architectures. The recommendation to exempt content delivery networks from authorization reduces regulatory friction and encourages faster deployment of edge infrastructure, thereby strengthening data localization and low latency delivery. The recommendation for a light touch internet exchange point IXP authorization will promote efficient domestic traffic routing and peering, reducing latency and international bandwidth costs. The recommendation to introduce a cable landing station provider authorization recognizes submarine cable infrastructure as strategic national digital infrastructure, facilitating transparent and non-discriminatory access to essential facilities and co-location. Collectively, these forward-looking measures position India to accelerate investments in data centers and submarine cable systems, strengthen digital resilience, and enhance its emergence as a global digital connectivity hub. In the Union Budget 2026, the Honorable Finance Minister announced a long-term tax holiday till 2047 for foreign companies that provide global cloud services using data center infrastructure located in India. This sends a powerful global message. India is not just a market for digital services, it is a platform for global digital delivery. This measure provides long-term certainty to hyperscalers, cloud providers, and global enterprises, and positions India as a credible, stable, and competitive destination for global workloads. Artificial intelligence is transforming networks and clouds from passive infrastructure into intelligent, connected systems. In a hyper-connected world, AI at the edge enables real-time processing across telecom networks, edge data centers, and 5G nodes, reducing latency, optimizing bandwidth, and powering applications such as autonomous systems and smart infrastructure. At the same time, global AI scale needs unified cross-border data ecosystems that securely integrate and govern distributed data sets. However, submarine cable systems face significant challenges. These are vulnerable to natural disasters as well as to human activities. Geopolitical tensions and growing data demand also add pressure, making security, reliability, and capacity upgrades ongoing concerns for operators. Similarly, cloud infrastructure faces issues such as data security threats, privacy concerns, service outages, operational costs, energy requirement, and environmental impact, besides the need to constantly scale to meet growing demand. Together, these challenges highlight the complexity of maintaining reliable, secure, and resilient global digital infrastructure. Addressing these challenges requires a mix of technical, operational, and policy solutions. For submarine cable systems, improving route planning, burying cables in low-risk areas, deploying real-time monitoring systems, and building redundant routes can reduce the impact of physical damage and outages. International cooperation and stronger regulatory frameworks can also enhance security and resilience. For cloud infrastructure, adopting robust cybersecurity measures and continuous threat monitoring is essential. Future digital infrastructure strategies will be shaped by private sector investment, AI-driven network optimization, edge cloud convergence, and sustainability imperatives. The responsibility before policymakers, telecom operators, cloud providers, and technology leaders is to ensure that the bridges being built across subsea cables, terrestrial networks, satellite systems, and scalable cloud platforms are resilient by design, inclusive in reach, and bold in ambition. With this, I would like to thank Broadband India Forum for hosting this first convergent conference on subsea cable and digital cloud infrastructure, and I extend my best wishes for its successful outcome. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for the address. For the closing comments and for the vote of thanks, I would like to invite Mr. T.V. Ramachandran, President, BIF. An industry veteran, Mr. Ramachandran has been part of mobile telephony sector in India since its very inception. And he was the first CEO of Sterling Cellular Delhi and established and led COAI for 12 years. I request him to please address the audience and give his closing comments and the vote of thanks. Please give him a round of applause.
Thank you, Anisha. Sorry. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's my pleasant duty to do the summing up briefly, because I've been given a very tight schedule by my team, but I'm going to flout it. Being the first Convergent conference, I would be doing it scant justice if I don't thank everybody who were there. So this conference, Connecting Continents, Scaling Digital Clouds, is a very significant title. Chairman took note of it, and he made some remarks on that also. Respected TRA Chairman, sir, distinguished member technology, eminent industry leaders who are veritable lions of this convergent domain. Each one of them is a lion. Esteemed ladies and gentlemen, and all the distinguished experts from government, from regulator, from industry out there. And foremost, of course, my media friends. I would hasten to point out that today does not mark the inauguration of a first-time Convergent conference. It is the recognition of a pivotal point in our journey to Viksit Bharat. India's first Convergent conference, which it happens to be, reflects a powerful realization that the infrastructure beneath the oceans and up there in the clouds, infrastructure within our data centers, together will shape the destiny of nations, the future destiny of nations. And we better realize it, and India has realized it. As everybody is pointing out, we are all there right now. History tells us, we've all read it. What does it tell us? It tells civilizations were established along trade routes. You call it the Silk Road, you call it the spice route. Those are the ways the civilization developed. But in the 21st century, our new trade routes are invisible, completely out of sight. They lie beneath our seas at the bed or up there in the clouds. As fiber cables and rise above us as distributed cloud architectures. India has become, data has because, why has this happened? Because these carry data. And data is today not just an oil, it's a hard currency of progress. You cannot make progress without adequate data. Connectivity has become the infrastructure of sovereignty. We are all talking about sovereignty every day. And that cannot happen without good connectivity. Subsea cables now carry the all-important signals of commerce, government communications, financial inflows, AI computations, digital commerce, of course, and social interactions, and not only all that, but everyday aspirations of billions of people. We are all dependent on that for social networking. Morning we open, we start with Facebook. How do you do it without data connectivity? And in this powerful convergence, India has a generational opportunity. It's a lifetime opportunity, a generation opportunity. With our scale, digital public infrastructure, talent base, and rapidly expanding data consumption, India is not destined to be a mere idle participant and observer. It is destined to be a key architect in it. But any architecture, as you all know, requires foresight. It requires regulatory clarity, and the lead is there with our chief guest, has laid it. Regulatory clarity that encourages investment. It requires a resilient design that anticipates disruption. It requires international cooperation anchored in trust. I wish Mr. David Jia could have made it today. He was destined to come, he used to be a speaker, but he could not make it due to some last-minute problems. He would have brought out the importance of from US Embassy. He would have brought out the importance of international collaboration and cooperation, which was brought out by many speakers before me, who all talked about cooperation and collaboration. The presence of our respected chairperson, TRAI, reflects a central role of enlightened regulation in enabling innovation without compromising resilience. I think Amarjit was very vocal about it, so was Ajay. So I would, first and foremost, extend my sincerest thanks to Sri A.K. Lavati, Chairman TRI, for gracing this occasion as chief guest and sparing so much time. As you all know probably, tomorrow is going to be very, very busy with Foundational Day and a lot of preparations for that. Despite that, he took time out, squeezed out time to be here with us today. Thank you, sir. I cannot thank you enough. My heartfelt thanks next to Sri R.N. Pillai. Thank you, sir. Member Technology devotee, for sharing the government's vision, what they have been doing and what they are doing to strengthen subsea cable systems and digital connectivity. That's accessible, affordable, reliable, and resilient. I must also acknowledge my great friend, Ms. Alka Asthana, Senior Vice President, Tata Communications. That is secondary. More important, she's chairman of the, chairperson of the BIF Subsea Cables Committee. That takes precedence. So thank you, Alka, for setting the context so effectively. My heartfelt gratitude to our distinguished industry speakers, Mr. Nico Radesh of Meta, Mr. Ajay Chatkara, Google, Mr. Ashutosh Zucchi, an old friend. Last year also he was there with us. And the inimitable Amarjit Dada. Thank you for being here. A special word of thanks to my friend, Mr. Shashidharan, friend of many years, MD Bharat Exhibitions, for his support in organizing this event. It is not easy to organize an event, and we gratefully acknowledge his support. We had such overwhelming response that we had to restrict, we had to close entry at a particular time. We also gratefully acknowledge our sponsors and partners. Firstly, our principal sponsor, our principal sponsor, Constel. Radheshyamji is there. I think Mr. Goyal is also there. He was there. I think probably is somewhere outside. Thank you, Radheji. Platinum sponsors, Meta, Lightstorm, NAC. Gold sponsor, Sienna. Silver sponsor, Tata Communications. I must also thank our communications partner, Weber and Shandwick, and media partner, Communications Today. The theme of this conference, which I've been referring to more than once, speaks not of technology. Like the chairperson rightly said, Chairman TRI said, it speaks of a huge, huge responsibility. Because when we connect continents, we connect economies, we connect people. When we scale digital clouds, we scale human potential. As we deliberate in the sessions ahead, let's keep these strategic lenses in mind of resilience, scalability, trust. I think all the speakers have been emphasizing that, and that's what I think is most important. And please permit me to conclude with a thought from a favorite writer of mine, Victor Hugo. Many of you would have read his La Miserable. There is one thing stronger than all the armies of the world put together. And what is that? According to him, that's an idea whose time has come. For us, that time has come today. The convergence of subsea connectivity and digital cloud infrastructure is precisely such an idea. And its time has come. On behalf of BIF, I express our deep gratitude once again to our chief guest and all the distinguished speakers and all of you who have come here to be with us and participate in the ongoing sessions. May this conference not merely exchange ideas, I pray that it help shape policy, inspire investment, and accelerate India's journey towards being a trusted global digital hub. That is our ambition. Ladies and gentlemen, come, let's together build the highways of the future in fiber, in cloud, and in trust. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, sir. We are very grateful to all our esteemed speakers for taking the time to come here and share the thoughts with the audience. I would request our chief guest, Shri A.K. Lahoti, Chairman TRAI, to please present mementos to our speakers. We want to thank them for coming here and for sharing their thoughts with the audience. I request you to present a memento to Shri R.N. Palai, Member, Technology, DOT. A memento for Mr. Nico Rorich, Director Network Investment, APAC Meta Platforms, Inc., USA. A memento for Mr. Ashutosh Zuchi, Senior Vice President, Submarine Network Solutions, NEC. A memento for Mr. Amarjit Gupta, Group CEO and MD, Lightstorm. A memento for Mr. Ajay Titkara, Managing Director, Indo-Pacific Global Infrastructure, Google. And a memento for Ms. Alka S. Asthana, Global Head Regulatory, TCL, and Chair, Subsea Cable Committee, BIF. I would request Mr. T.V. Ramachandran, President, BIF, to please present a memento to Shri A.K. Lahoti, Chairman, TRAI. I will request all our esteemed speakers to please gather in front of the tables for a group photograph. Please give a huge round of applause to all our speakers on stage. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with the audience. You have given a lot of food of thought for the participants here to deliberate and come up with good strategies during the rest of the day. We will now slip into a tea break, a 15-minute tea break. I request all of you to please be back in your seats by 11:50 when we will start with our next session.